Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Encrypted Muslima Studio, a space where we decode life, faith, and reflections through meaningful conversations. Join me on this journey as we unlock the keys to understanding and personal growth through an Islamic lens. Today, we begin with the opening of Surah Maryam, a story of hope and trust in Allah. Zakariyyah, عليه السلام, in his old age, makes a heartfelt dua, turning to Allah with complete sincerity and faith. His private prayer reminds us of the power of connecting with Allah in moments of vulnerability. What lessons can we draw from his dua, and how can it inspire us as women in our daily lives? Let's reflect together.
Ever feel like something you want so badly is just totally out of reach? Heck, impossible. I think we all have, right? Definitely. Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into a story from the Quran. Oh, cool. It's the story of Zakariyyah in Suratul Maryam. Yep. And it really gets at that feeling. Okay, but we're not just going to skim the surface here. Yeah, we're going deep. Okay, we've got insights from the Tazkirul Quran. That's a commentary on the Quran. It's going to help us unpack all those lessons. Yeah. Especially for women. I think it's amazing how this story can be so old. Right, centuries old, yeah. But it still just resonates so deeply with us today, totally. Okay, yeah, let's set the scene. We've got Zakariyyah. He's pretty up there in years. His wife is also past the age of having children. Okay. But he still really yearns for a child. Wow. I mean, just from a human perspective, yeah, it just seems impossible. Yeah, definitely, it seems that way. Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. Okay. He doesn't just give in to despair. He decides to make his plea to Allah in private. Interesting. And the Tazkirul Quran actually points this out. Okay. It highlights how this act of seeking solitude shows how humble he was, and how much he completely relied on Allah. I mean, like he's saying, I don't need an audience for this. Right. This is between me and yeah, and I'm already seeing how this could speak to so many women out there. Oh yeah, for sure. We carry so many hopes and struggles silently. Absolutely. This story is like speaking to that quiet strength. Exactly, and that's just the beginning. Surah Maryam actually specifically highlights this privacy. Oh wow. It says, when he called out to his Lord in private. Okay. That's not just there by chance. Yeah. The Tazkirul Quran is saying that the power of private dua, it comes from getting rid of all pretense. Yeah. It's just raw, unfiltered connection with the divine. Wow. Okay, so let's unpack this private dua a bit more. Okay. Because there's this other part that always gets me. Okay. Zakariyyah says, I have never been disappointed in my prayers to you, my Lord. Right. But how can someone be so sure? Yeah, it's fascinating because what's interesting here, the Tazkirul Quran doesn't say this means his prayers were always answered how he wanted. Okay, it's about recognizing how Allah was always present, always responding in his life. Yeah. Maybe some prayers were answered differently than he thought they'd be answered, but he still saw the blessing. Right. He saw the wisdom in Allah's plan, the unwavering trust. Yeah. It comes from looking back on those past experiences. So it's almost like building a relationship with that person, where you come to trust them. Yeah, because they have your best interests at heart. In fact, even when you don't understand their actions. That's a beautiful way to put it. And when you think about how this relates to women, we're the ones holding families together, navigating those tough relationships, and facing silent challenges, right? Totally. So this trust in Allah, this trust built on remembering his past blessing, it's like crucial fuel, for facing those challenges. Absolutely. Speaking of challenges, how can we take this story of Zakariyyah and his powerful private dua and actually apply it to our lives today? Well, the Tazkirul Quran offers some pretty practical advice on this. Okay, and we'll get into that after a quick break. It's all good. Yeah. It's one thing to just be inspired by a story, but how do we actually put those lessons into practice in our lives, right? The Tazkirul Quran actually gives us some pretty practical advice for this. Okay, I like practical advice. Yeah, especially when it comes to making that connection with Allah stronger. For sure. I think we should all relate to that. Absolutely. Where do we even start? Well, the Tazkirul Quran really focuses on making private dua a regular habit. It shouldn't just be something you do every once in a while. It's about finding those moments to have a conversation with Allah. Just like Zakariyyah did. So it's like instead of thinking about dua as this big formal thing, right, it's more like weaving these little moments of connection with Allah into our daily lives. Exactly. And that's the beauty of private dua. Yeah, it can happen anywhere, anytime. Okay. It's just about finding those times when you can be alone and just really open your heart to Allah. Yeah. Could be in the morning when it's quiet, or while you're making dinner. Okay. Maybe even on your commute. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but what about those times when you're making dua and you just feel kind of stuck? Yeah, like you're not even sure if your prayers are being heard. Absolutely. I feel like we've all been there. Doubt is a normal part of being human. Yeah. But you know, the Tazkirul Quran talks about this too. Yeah, it actually encourages us to think about those times when Allah did answer our prayers. Oh, okay, even if it wasn't how we expected. Okay. It's almost like keeping an evidence log of Allah's care and how He responds to us. I love that, an evidence log. Like, wait a minute, Allah did come through for me, right? He sees me. He hears me. Absolutely. Did I help you feel more confident when you're doubting? Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some huge life-changing thing. Yeah, sometimes it's the small things where you feel Allah guiding you, right? And remembering those can be really powerful in making that trust stronger. This reminds me of something else about Zakariyyah's dua. Okay. He asks for a son, even though it seems totally impossible. He doesn't hold back at all. You've got a good point there. Yeah, the Tazkirul Quran actually emphasizes this boldness. Okay, like it's showing us how to do it. Yeah, it reminds us that Allah is Al-Kareem, the most generous. Right. Nothing is too big or too small for Him. We shouldn't limit ourselves in what we ask for. Yeah, like we put these limits on Allah, not based on our own limited understanding. Exactly. But Zakariyyah is teaching us to go to Allah with this huge hope. Yes, don't hold back at all. Share your deepest wishes, your wildest dreams, even those things you're kind of shy to ask for. Yeah. Bring everything to Him. Yeah. And then just trust that His answer, whatever it may be, will come from His infinite wisdom and mercy. So how does all this change how we see our relationship with Allah? That's a really good question. Yeah. When we see our connection with Allah through dua, it really shows how accessible He is. It shows that He's always very ready to listen, not just during those formal prayers, but like in every little whisper in our heart. I think this can be really freeing, especially for women, because we're always juggling so much. It gives us this constant source of comfort and strength. I'm seeing how powerful this shift in how we see things can be. It's about understanding that Allah is not far away. He's totally involved in our lives. And dua is what connects us to that. Okay, so as we're getting close to wrapping up this deep dive, I want to ask our listeners a question. Okay, think about something you've been wanting. Maybe something that seems impossible. Okay, a challenge you're facing. Or some kind of healing that you really need. Keep that in mind as we finish up this conversation. Okay, you know, where you're talking about bringing our whole hearts to Allah in dua. I was thinking about how scary that can feel sometimes. Like when we have those big dreams, or heavy burdens, it's like, how can I even put that into words? I know what you mean, Sometimes it's like words aren't enough. Especially when you're dealing with these big emotions like deep desires. So even if we can't say exactly how we're feeling, right, just going to Allah with those raw emotions is enough. Definitely. Okay. The Tazkirul Quran really emphasizes that Allah knows within our hearts even better than we do. Wow. So even when we can't find the words, He understands what we're asking for. That's comforting. And remember, Allah is just Al-Kareem, the most generous, but He's also Ar-Rahim, the most merciful. Merciful, right? He sees everything we go through. Our struggles, our tears, our silent hopes. That is really comforting. It is, especially for those times when you just feel lost, absolutely, or overwhelmed. No matter what you're going through, Allah's there and He gets it. And that takes me back to Zakariyyah. And how certain he was, but he was never disappointed in his prayers.
How can we have that kind of trust? It's definitely a journey. The Tazkirul Quran says it's built on always remembering, okay, reflecting and being grateful, okay? It's about noticing when Allah is present in our lives, yeah, big and small ways. Like what? Maybe things get easier in a tough situation, okay? Maybe a stranger is kind to you, or maybe it's just seeing a beautiful sunrise, yeah, and it fills you with awe. Those are good examples. There are all these little signs of Allah's love and care for us. So it's like we have to train ourselves to see those whispers, yeah, those little signs, exactly, and recognize them as messages from Allah. Yes, and every time we do that, our connection grows stronger, yeah, we trust more, and then when those times of doubt come, we can remember those times, okay? Remember our evidence log of answered prayers, yeah, and it helps us stay strong in our faith. This makes me think about that question we asked earlier. Oh yeah, what makes you feel connected to Allah during duha? That's a good one. For me, it's those times right before dawn. Okay. When it's still quiet. Yeah. Feels like it's just me and Allah. I love that, yeah. For me, it's being out in nature. Nash the ocean, yeah, or the forest. They make me feel so small. Yeah. But also held by something so much bigger. I know that feel. Yeah, it's when I feel most connected. I think it's different for everyone. Yeah, you're right. But it's important to find those spaces, right? Those times, yeah, when your heart is really open to Allah. Absolutely. So to wrap up our deep dive, yeah, we want you to remember the story of Zakariyyah. Okay. Remember his trust in Allah. Right. Find those quiet moments of connection. And ask boldly for what you really want. Don't hold back. Yeah, and trust that Al-Mujib, right, the one who responds, is always listening. He is. And as you go on with your day, yeah, think about this. Okay, when do you feel closest to Allah during dua?